Thanks for the invitation to come to give a talk on this topic. We've been lucky, for a variety of reasons, to delve into this with various funding over the last few years. And this is a very broad topic, of course, but to see, can we really verify or really support what we all like to believe in, that we are achieving some of these benefits on the farm. So what I'm going to talk about is really and another way of putting it to me is this is another form of value added. We talk about value added, we tend to think about the products of farming in terms of value adding, but what if the farm itself it has got measurable benefits to society, to the environment, that we can measure and quantify? Could we consider that as a really an innovative form of value added? And of course, in a number of parts of the world, they've already recognized this, and particularly I'm talking about Europe, where for 10, 15 years, organic farmers have been receiving direct payments per acre, per hectare, for measurable environmental benefits, whether it's reducing nutrient loading, whether it's biodiversity, maintaining wildlife or plant species, a whole host of things. So they've been sort of recognizing organic farms are quite distinct in this regard. So they're providing a range of public good benefits and solving what you might say is multiple kind of general policy goals. So what am I talking about? Well, a whole range of things. It could be from social benefits, of course. I'm not going to talk about that today. And others are much more well-versed in looking at the social benefits of organic farming. I'm going to mostly focus on the environmental and ecological. But you could also be out on organic farms and looking at the way we handle animals. It's quite different. The more ethical treatment of animals, the welfare of the animals, and there's many consumers would support organic on those grounds as well, if we could sort of document that as well. So, but again, I'm going to talk mostly about the environmental and ecological side. So where does this come from, this kind of idea of looking at the broad characteristics of the farm in addition to beyond just the products of the farm? Well, if we look at our new national Canadian standards, which we now are enshrined in federal regulations, and we've got a new logo, but if you look in these standards and you flip to page 1, on page 1, we list 7 principles of organic farming, 7 goals or principles. 5 of them are really environmental claims. We're saying we like to work with biological systems, that we like to use renewable resources in the sort of region or in the sort of ecosystem. There's 5 of our 7 principles relate to environmental benefits and renewable resource use. So the question is, how far do we get in achieving, adhering to these principles or achieving these goals? And if you were going to go out and measure some of these broad concepts or broad benefits, where would you start? What would you measure on a farm? Well, you could obviously have a long list, and I'm going to touch on some of these, each one of these, as I go through the presentation. And you can certainly add to this list in terms of looking at sustainability of a farm or measurable benefits of a farm. So energy use, soil carbon storage, some of these are very topical issues, and there's been discussion of farmers, even in North America and in Canada, getting direct support for achieving these goals. Soil health, biodiversity, nutrient loading, greenhouse gas emissions, and water quality. Each one of them, there's sort of global concern about them. There's the big picture on all of them. You can read about them, and there's a lot of discussion about them in terms of global issues. But I think on each one of them too, one can shrink down to the farm scale and think these are practical issues on the farm in a way as well. For example, biodiversity. Are we really supporting natural predators on organic farms? Are we able to enhance pest management by just maintaining that diversity of life on the farms? energy use. Of course, that's got bottom line issues on the farm. So these are global issues, but they're all farm scale issues as well. Each one. Nutrient loading. Are we being efficient with nutrients? What I'm drawing on in giving this presentation is a couple of sort of reviews we've had a chance to do over the last couple of years on this. The first one was just this year. We finished a fairly large study funded by Agriculture Canada through the National Roundtable on Organic. Hoping you've at least heard of the roundtable, the National Roundtable on Organic, which brings together really all the sort of stakeholders in organic, from processors to retailers to farmers to consumers, and government, to try and sort of move the whole industry forward. But it's also a nice forum and opportunity to sponsor this kind of big picture study, and they've done quite a number of studies that have been done through the roundtable. One of the studies was this study we were tasked with this year, to look in the literature, to sort of look in the scientific literature and see, is there really evidence that in general organic farming supports is a net benefit in terms of energy, and is a net benefit in terms of climate change, in terms of greenhouse gases. And I'm going to go into that in a little bit more. And the second paper was a review paper on many of the other topics I'm going to talk about this morning.